Welcome to episode 12 of the Love of the Game interview series. This is your host, Pete Janney. This interview series brings on players, coaches, and other professionals in the sports industry. For episode 12, I'm delighted to have a very special guest, Rich Kelly here, former Division I men's basketball player at Quinnipiac, Boston College, and UMass. Thanks for coming on, Rich. How are you doing?
My pleasure. I'm doing magical right now.
And nowadays, Rich, you find yourself as a graduate assistant for the UConn men's basketball team, coming off a national championship, one of the most decorated programs in NCAA history. How has that experience been this summer, so far?
I do find myself there. It's been very interesting. I've learned a lot about myself and about the group that I'm in. Like the first couple weeks I was there, I was really just trying to understand the ecosystem as well as the culture. And then I was playing more of a reserved role, just trying to kind of understand my surroundings. And then, I was able to kind of open up and like be myself more and more, which every day I try to be more and more authentic to who I am. And that's just a self journey I'm on. And it just trickles into the workplace. But it's intense. It's fun. It's energetic. It's constant. We're like at my other schools, like in the summer, the coaches are there, maybe get in at 9 a.m. If they're leaving early, leave at 3. But like if they're staying normal, they're there till like 5. Like here we're there till like we're getting in at 6:45, 7 SGAs, and then we're not leaving till 5 or 6 o'clock. So it's like you're working 10, 11-hour days. And because we had a foreign tour, we had like 6 days of work every week sometimes, like for like a month. So we're really working like 60+ hour weeks in the summer. And I think that just speaks to like the level of dedication from like everyone in the program. Like, although it is a lot on me and the rest of the people that I work with, like everyone else is doing it. It's not like I'm the only one. And so you see that and like, there's a certain respect to it because you know how hard it is on yourself, and you know that person's going through something similar as you.
Yusuf Singari, Solomon Ball, Jaden Ross, Jalen Stewart, all these 4-star guys that come in. How much of a pleasure has it been to work with these young guys that are so hungry?
I actually work with, so like we have like as GAs, like we're allowed to be on the court more than like the coaches. So we can like rebound and like work guys out, run them through workouts. And those are like 4 guys that are on my list of people I work out. So like in doing that, you build like a one-on-one relationship with them on the court. We're able to kind of communicate like, hey, like I care about you as a player. I evaluate your game, and I'm here to like help support and nurture your growth as a person and a player. And that's been really cool to kind of have those relationships with those guys. And through that, off the court, you're able to know them even better now. And you're almost like a little team for that 30 minutes. It's you and him, and you're trying to, get him to the next level. So it's been awesome. They're all really good guys. Like, I didn't know coming here, like, if there would be like arrogance or ego, and there definitely is ego, as pretty much everyone has an ego. But it's justified because of how good they are. So it makes sense like that you have the ego drive that pushes you and that you think very highly of yourself because you are an elite level basketball player. And if you want to be successful, you need to believe that. But with that, sometimes arrogance can bleed in. And that's not the case with those guys. They're all like fantastic guys, and they work really hard, and they're open-minded, and they're just good people. So it's been really cool to work with them.
Then a lot of the nucleus returns as well. Donovan Clingan, who should be one of the top players in college basketball this year, Alex Caravan, and then also Tristan Newton, who tested the draft process but ended up coming back. The veteran point guard is in place, which is invaluable for any team with championship aspirations. How has it been, being around those guys? And is it just like, do you just get a different vibe around those guys that are going to ultimately probably head to the NBA someday?
Yeah, I mean, I think like Coach Hurley always talks about it. It's just like with those guys, it's like they have to be everyday guys. Like every guy has to be an everyday guy, but those guys especially have to because they're gonna, carry a lot of the weight for our team this year. And I think that they understand that. They accept the challenge and they show up every day ready to meet the challenge. And some days are better than others. It's not like you play great or, you have the most energy every single day. But I think all those guys hold themselves to that high standard, and that's what connects them. And they're all really competitive and really want to win. And I think that's important. Like they really want to win. Because I've been on teams, and a lot of players have been on teams where like not everybody winning is not the number one thing for everyone. And obviously, everyone wants to like at the end of the day, like I am not as a player, I am not the team. I am myself. So there's a certain ego that pushes you of like, I want to be great. And the coach is preaching, put the team before yourself and you will be taken care of. And like really good teams are able to instill that where guys, it's like, help me, help you.
One of the nice benefits of being a part of a NCAA Division One program is that you get to make the foreign trip once every couple of years. This year you guys went to Monaco, specifically Monte Carlo. You spent some time there. You were able to play games. Can you talk about the experience there and how great of a bonding experience it was it for someone like you stepping into this situation, and then also some of the new guys?
Yeah, it was amazing. I tried not to go into it with any expectations because it was easy to get excited. But I really I'm going to a side of the world I've never been to, and I'm visiting a place I've never been to, and I know very little about. So it's tough to even expect anything. But it surpassed any of my wildest expectations that I could have had for how amazing of a trip it was. Just being over there and like seeing a different culture, being around different people from around the world, um, amazing like picturesque views, and then we're also like an all-star team traveling around and like still like playing basketball every day in this like exotic place. And we spent a lot of time together, and we were in hotels the whole time together. And I feel like the team really got closer. I know personally, I gained a lot of like depth to a lot of my relationships on that trip. Because you're able to see each other in a different light. And, instead of like we're in the gym, practice gym every day and we're hanging out, we're at like a team event. Now you're just hanging and you're just doing your thing. And he's in Spain for the first time as well. And you're just on this like magical vacation together. And you're also playing basketball every day. So it's just like a dream come true.
Go back to 2017-18 season, your freshman year, going into your freshman year. You were a part of the first recruiting class at Quinnipiac under Baker Dunleavy. Can you talk about that experience of getting recruited by Quinnipiac and really just like your fond memories of that time in your life?
Yeah. So I never really thought about going to Quinnipiac growing up, even though it was right down the road. I went to the basketball camp when I was a kid, and my dad used to ref. He was a Division I ref. So he would ref Quinnipiac games. He was in the NEC with them. He used to ref Tom Moore, and who's now the assistant that recruited me to Quinnipiac and offered me a scholarship. And I was going to commit to him, and he got fired. And then Baker Dunleavy got the job. I was like, oh, that's great. I actually met Baker as a sophomore. I went on like an unofficial visit to Villanova, and they weren't recruiting me at all, but I just went with like one of my AAU teammates that they were recruiting. And the coach was like, hey, if you want, you can come along. So it was amazing. I had to play with Villanova's team that day. I was a sophomore. I got knocked around like a ping pong ball by Javon Pinkston, Javon and Ochefu. But anyway, meet Baker that day. And then crazy 5 years later, all of a sudden, I'm sitting in a cafeteria with Baker Dunleavy. I'm like, I committed to him the first time I met him, just because like the vibe I got, we were on like the same page, and I knew like Villanova played a system that I could play well in, and that guys that play similar to me have succeeded in. And I really didn't know much more than that. I just put the pieces together, committed. And that year we only had 8 scholarship players eligible to play. So like we had a very small roster. I was the only point guard on the roster. Like the next point guard was a 6'6", like 2-3 wing combo guard. Like it wasn't even like close who our next point guard was. So it was like that whole summer they were like, "Oh, you're getting thrown in fire, you're getting thrown in fire." And me, I'm like, "Yo, stop saying that to me. Like I'm gonna be fine." Like I felt like they were trying to throw fear at me. But really they were just explaining like, "Yo, you don't even understand how hard this is gonna be." And it was so hard. And I had a really good start to the year. And I was like, "Yo, what is even happening?" Like I always looked at players that I aspired to be like Jeremy Lin, Jared Jordan at Marist, like Steve Nash, Steph Curry. So I would look at it like I like love like numbers and stats. So like I would study their stats like every single year of college basketball to understand like where they were in their development. I'm like, okay, Steve Nash is playing in the WCC in the 1990s. How good of a league is that? Like how athletic are they? Where are the NBA players going? Or do they have NBA players in that league? To understand how his production aligns with, oh, where is my production at Quinnipiac in 2020 in the MAC? How does that compare? So I'm doing that like all the time. I'm like obsessed with basketball. Like it's like everything. And the coach had recruited 4 guards in the class right behind me. And one of them was the New York Player of the Year. Like Joe Girard, Kevin Herter, then him. And I was like, the kid averaged 35 a game in Long Island. So I was like paranoid, anxious. Like I'm playing well, but like I know they love this kid. He had a great senior year and like he's coming to take my spot. He's coming for me. And I'm not playing well. And so I'm like hyper anxious. And the coaches are trying to tell me you're fine, you're fine. But I was fueled by fear at the time. And eventually I just let go. I was like, it was too much. I was like, whatever. Like, I don't even care anymore. Like, whatever happens, happens. I like broke. And then I had 40. And I hit this like flow state, which I've entered a couple times. Like people talk about the flow state. Like I've been there. And it's just like peace and like equanimity. Like everything just is. Like I remember like going into overtime, fourth quarter. I took 20 dribbles up the court. I go in a big circle, in and out, step back at the buzzer, and I hit a buzzer beater 3 in that game where I had 40. And like I was just like stone cold. Like it wasn't like I didn't care. It wasn't that I wasn't excited. It's just I was completely present in the moment. And like I hit this zone that game that like changed my life because I was like, oh my God, what if I can go back there and like become that? And now as a coach, that's what I'm trying to help players get to is like understand the psychology of becoming a great player because I went through all the layers of like I think like something about me is I experiment a lot. And like I'll experiment with my jumper or experiment with like mindsets or like drills. And that's how I've learned a lot because I just experiment all the time. And I did that with mindsets and I learned a lot about mindset just through myself. So now like when I see a player, it's not that I've experienced what he's experiencing, but I know I can relate to it and how I experience something similar. So I'm able to not know exactly what he's going through, but be there for him and have some type of empathy for him.
I mean, you were a part of a lot of great high school teams. None more than Montverde Academy when you went down there for your sophomore year. Your uncle Kevin Boyle gets hired to become the head coach there from St. Patrick's, and you find yourself on one of the best teams. You guys won the national championship. You were the best team in the country. You had NBA talent on that team, including a guy like D'Angelo Russell. It was a stacked team. When you think back to going in those kind of the highs and the lows of that freshman year, but the highs, like you said, that 40-point game. How much did you think back to like your high school experience and be like, I had these experiences and this confidence is well justified and legitimate?
Talk about the irony of life. Kevin Boyle is my uncle, and now I work for Dan Hurley. That's just like if that's not God just like winking and like smirking, I don't know what is because they were rivals. And like Kevin Boyle and like the Hurley family in general, they were at each other's necks for 20 years. And now I'm working for the other guy. Like, how crazy is I lived with Kevin Boyle for a while. I played for him, and now I'm here. And there's not like bad blood. Like, we're actually recruiting a kid from Montverde, Cooper Flagg, and we also had a walk on from Montverde last year. So like, it's not like bad blood, really. You know, I mean, they were just very competitive with each other because they're both great coaches and they're absolute sharks. And they know the game and they're super tough. Like both of them, it's kind of funny, like seeing Coach Hurley now because I also watch Kevin Boyle. I don't think there's many people who have watched both of them up close, like in practice every day, and I have, and I see the similarities. And they have a lot of similarities as coaches that are reasons that they win. And I think it's like it's something in the water in New Jersey, like how they approach basketball at a grassroots level is different there. So when I went to Montverde, I was essentially like a walk-on, like 13th, 14th guy, holding the waters, holding the towels. And D'Angelo Russell and Ben Simmons were on the team. And we had like 5 other top 100 players. And like in the end, there was like 12 or 13 Division I players on the team. Like it was ridiculous. Like at that point, they were saying, is this the greatest high school team ever? Like that was like a question. And I don't think it was up to date now. Like I think Montverde has had better teams since then. Like Scotty Barnes, Kate Cunningham, like that team was like ridiculous. But our team was up there as like one of the greatest high school teams of all time. Like, you know, in my mind, something up there. And I was on the scout team every day. And my confidence was low. I was depressed. I was away from home. I was homesick. And then I just like fell in love with the process there. So I was like, all I have is basketball. And I just like dove in, like I became relentless. And I worked hard. I started really working hard in 7th grade and it kind of got up every year. But that year is just like, I became maniacal about it, studying it to a different T. And I also saw the mountains. I saw the number 1 player in the country. And I understood how good the best player in the country is, which a lot of kids don't have that perspective. And I could see it every day. So I understood, oh, that's where I am. I could do the math and see how far I was. And I realized, okay, no one really knows it, like, because I don't look like a basketball player. But, like, I'm playing well against these guys every day. And, like, if I stay there, like, I think I have, like, maybe a different, like, scouting report in high school. Like, oh, this kid plays at Montverde. He's doing well. Like, yeah, probably a Division I player. But no one sees me playing well because it's in practice. Yeah. And then I go to prep. I transfer in. And the team is like loaded with guard talent relative for Connecticut basketball. But I'm like, I'm better than all these guys, even though they don't know it. I'm better than all of them. And I just tried to prove that every single day while also contributing to winning. And we did that. And I felt by the end of the year, I'd proved I was the best player on the team, even though maybe like it wasn't publicized that way, like in the newspapers. Like I wasn't getting like first team all state or anything like that. So I'm going into my senior year and I'm like, dude, no one even knows how good I am. Like we just won a state championship and I know I was the best player on that team. So like I'm going down the list in the SEC. I'm like, better than him, better than him. I'm like, oh, I'm the best player in the league. Like it's not even close to me. So I'm going in. People think, oh yeah, he might have like a good year, senior year, go play D3, and I just like tear it up. I'm just like, no, you guys can't mess with me. That's what I'm thinking. Like, you guys don't even know how good I am. And I still don't get recruited. I get like 3 Player of the Year awards, no offers. So then I go to post grad, and we're in the fall, and I'm playing like really, really well. I was in a perfect situation. This guy like totally believed in me. Kevin Keogh, he's the coach at Winchendon now, totally believed in me. Like, had my back, was calling coaches like up and down the East Coast. Like, you have to take this kid. You have to take this kid. And no one would bite. And I remember like I didn't have a Division I offer at the time, and Pat Beeline comes in from Lemoyne, sees me play once. He was there to see my teammate. Sees me play once and goes, "If my dad was in the gym tonight, he would have offered you a scholarship, like at Michigan." And a lot of people, I've gotten like Spike Albright comparisons before, and he was like, that was like really the first time I got it, and since then I've got it a number of times. And so like hearing that, I'm like, this dude just told me Michigan would offer me, and I don't have a Division I offer. So like, I understand. I embody the underdog, and my number my senior year is 0 because that's how many offers I have, and that's how many like outside people believe in me. So it's a 0, and I'm wearing it. So I'm like letting everyone know I got the 0 on me, and I'm dominating. Everything was about basketball. Like I was every single moment of the day. How am I getting better right now? Whether it's I'm drinking water or I'm stretching or I'm laying down and I'm resting. This is for basketball. So that high school experience just really prepared me. It gave me a chip on my shoulder. It taught me I had to work. It gave me adversity, which a lot of guys that are really good players, when they get to Division I, they haven't faced a lot of adversity because they're super talented. And when they get here, it's the first time they really get punched in the face. And I got punched in the face a lot. My ego got hit a lot. It was like a team effort. It was like my dad would always talk about the Klitschko brothers, the boxers that were heavyweight champions of the world. They'd never fight each other. And whenever one of them was fighting in the ring, the other one was in his corner. And like he's like that. He always likened our family to that. Like that's how we support each other. And it's beautiful, and I'm eternally grateful for it.
Once you really hit the ground running at Quinnipiac, it seemed like, things were really on the upswing. You guys had a lot of talent there. You really started to come into your own as well. That second year when you were there, it was like the year of Cam Young in terms of kind of being around him. He has the 55-point game against Siena in the triple overtime win. You actually added 24 points in that game as well. It was one of the best games of college basketball in the whole year. Was it almost, looking back, shocking that, teams with that type of talent at Quinnipiac, that you guys were never able to get over the hump and win a championship?
It's so intricate. There's so many things that need to go well, and it's so much more than talent. Looking back, we didn't have an alignment in our personalities or our egos. As a team, that was out of whack, and that's why we didn't succeed in the end. You have to have alignment there. The best players have to be willing to sacrifice whatever they need to sacrifice, right? Whatever that is. It's different for every, good player. The coaches have to be willing to sacrifice and give up control of the team to the players, because the best teams are player-led, because they're the ones out there. And we didn't have that. It was a coach-led team. And I think Baker really knows the game. He's now the GM at Villanova, really knows the game. And he taught me so much about basketball. Like, he's a big reason I became a really good player, because he's wicked smart. We ran a ball screen offense, and he put me in ball screens every single game, countless times, and like just gave me the opportunity to learn the reads. My sophomore year, our offense was, well, we're going to Cam every time. And if we can't get Cam, let's get Rich in a ball screen. So I was like the second option. But to play with Cam, like, I became so desensitized to the amazing shots he would hit. Like, I'd see it on film like a year later and be like, oh my God, like, I remember he hit that, and I just like walked back on D. Like, his talent is ridiculous. Like, and me and him grew a bond. Going into my freshman season, we were shooting partners, and he had 0 points the year before. He played 8 total minutes, and he was going to transfer to Division II, but then Baker came in and said he could stay, so he stayed. And I'm shooting with him every day, and I noticed he's a really good shooter, even though I thought his form was a little weird. The ball goes in a lot. And then we started playing pickup, and I was like, oh my God, it's like effortless for him. Like, he's like really good. And I remember saying to him, like, I don't think people realize how good either of us are, because like going into that season, we had both had zero points. And in the next 2 years, we were both the 2 best players on the team. We don't have the teams we had. We don't have the combo on the court together like we had if we don't have that summer together.
In your year at Quinnipiac, you averaged 16 a game. Then everything ends abruptly due to COVID. You end up going to the transfer portal after that year, and you assess your options. You come off a great season. You have the chance to go higher. You end up landing at Boston College under Jim Christian. What made them stand out, and when did that idea come into your head that, I wanted to move on to the next level?
So I was completely driven by my ego, like full on. And so here's the funny thing, Pete. I got to Quinnipiac, and I'm thinking I'm going to graduate in 3 years because I'm taking a fast course load, and because I want to get my master's. out of the scholarship, and they had a really good program, so it worked out perfect. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'll play 3 years, and then I'm transferring up to the ACC. That's what I'm thinking. Is like going into my freshman year. I had my freshman year. I played really well. I got like all rookie team, whatever. My coach, my assistant, tells me, dude, last summer I had coaches come up to me like every tournament and be like, dude, why'd you guys take that kid, Rich Kelly? Like, he can't play at that level. So mind you, the collective, not everyone, but a lot of people are thinking he's a Division II player, Division III player. He shouldn't be. The MAC is too high. It's too athletic for him. That's what they're thinking. He thinks, oh, good player, he's not athletic enough. And I'm thinking, I'm going to the ACC. So there seems to be a discrepancy somewhere. And it's funny how it all worked out. It was totally manifested the whole time. And I'm in my junior year, and I'm leading the team, right? Like, I have the ball in my hands, and I'm the leader. And I notice people aren't following. And I'm like, I'm saying all the right things. Why are they not following? Because my advantage has always been my intellect. Like, I'm a pretty smart guy. So I can figure things out, and I'm relatively calm as well. So I can communicate things well in stressful environments. I can communicate complex concepts in simple words in a calm fashion. And also, I was pretty tough, and I played really hard, and I was pretty skilled. So like, put that all together, and like, that's me as a leader. But I wasn't building genuine relationships with the guys, and I was about myself. I wanted to win for me. I wanted to win so I can get player of the year. I want to go to the tournament so that, oh, I can become seen. You know, it was selfish. And they knew that, and they could feel it. It's just a vibe that you feel. And so that's another reason we didn't win that year, is because inherently at the core of our team, right? I'm the leader. I'm at the core. It's not pure. It's not pure of heart. There's some rot there, selfish rot. And that's going to spread to the team. And that's what happened my junior year. And I played really well, and I had a great year. And I was super anxious the entire year. And I didn't even know what anxiety was at the time, but I was super anxious.
Ending your career at UMass, playing for the Minutemen under Matt McCall, what made that happen, right? People see Rich Kelly 1 year playing at Boston College and then finishing his career in the same state, just in Amherst, that playing for UMass. How did that come about? And how would you describe your 1 year playing for UMass?
Rival UMass, like, they never want to play each other, because if BC loses, it's like, oh, you lost to a team in the A10, like a lower division. And if UMass loses, it's just like, hey, it's an ACC school, so it's okay. More so, you know, it's not everyone's mindset. But, and at BC, like, I had a good year. I got hurt. Coach got fired midseason, which was an absolute like trip to go through, when he like walks in and tells you he's fired, and you're like, the season's not over. We're in COVID. You're firing our coach midseason. I was not happy at the time, although I understand now, whatever. You're an athletic director. You got to do what you got to do. I don't hold any ill will against you. But at the time, I was like, yo, he is messing everything up right now. And of course, I think the guy got promoted and got a bigger job somewhere. Like, good for him. Like, it looks like he made the right decision, right? I don't know, but that was tough. And then after that, I'm looking for a coach that I can like really have a great relationship with, because like with me and Baker, like, we had a really good like player coach relationship, and like we could like communicate just by looking at each other on the court. Like, we were just synced up in that way as like a point guard head coach. And then Coach Christian was a super nice guy, but it was COVID. It was weird. Like, he gets fired. So it's like, I'm like looking for a guy I can have a really good relationship with and be a point guard for. And me and Matt, you know, Coach McCall, me and Matt really bonded. I was pretty down at that time. Like, I just got to the height, you know, the ACC, like the height of my career, and I played well, but I get hurt. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? I had some things go against me this year. I got hurt. I want to prove myself as a starter at a high major level. That's my goal. And like, cause I was like, by the end of the season, I was starting, and I had 27 on Miami. So I'm like, all right, I want to get a role that I can be the starter and I can prove myself at a high major level. And like, high majors just were not calling me. It was like all A10, WCC, Mountain West, like right below high major. And I think part of that was like I struggled to guard at that level. Like those dudes are so fast. It's like hard to even like there's like a lot of guys that play at LA Fitness and think they can play in the NBA. They have no idea how athletic these guys are. Like they are blurs. Oh, and he can shoot from 25 feet. Like go figure. Like it's ridiculous, you know, like just to guard these guys and to feel that and experience that. So I understood that. I was like, when a guy's coming at me downhill, I'm pretty much just guessing which way he's going. And we had Noah Fernandez as well. So the thing was like, okay, we're going to play with 2 point guards. And it ended up being Noah's show that year. He had the ball probably 70 to 80%, and I had it like 20 to 30%. And he played really well. And we had a pretty good offense. We could have been much more efficient. Like Noah's a bucket getter. I could get buckets. CJ Kelly could get buckets. Our 4-man was like a knockdown shooter. Trent Buttrick was getting buckets. Like even our backup 5, like were scorers. And so we scored like really well and we played fast, but we had our offense wasn't fluid. It wasn't working together. It was all like just you go, I go, you go, I go.
5 years of college basketball, 39% career 3-point shooter, 292 threes made. What's the formula for being a good shooter in Rich Kelly's mind?
I like to experiment. So I changed my jump shot a bunch throughout my career. And my dad's a really good shooting coach, and he gave me a foundation, and he continues to, give me pointers here and there. But I really like took over the architecture of my jump shot during my sophomore season at Montverde because I was alone, and that really started like my dive into the rabbit hole of shooting. And essentially, I changed my shot every year in college, and I still shot really well every year. Like most guys find something that works, and they just keep going at it. I found something that worked, and I was like, I need to change it so I can take it to the next level. And it didn't always go forward. Sometimes it went sideways, and I became a really good shooter in a different way. But like my freshman year, my release was like at the top of my head. I see Trae Young dominating, and I'm like, I need to lower my release and become more of a deep range threat. So I do it my sophomore year, and I shoot 45% after changing my shot. And I was like an engineer that summer with my jumper. And I've done that every summer, just tinkering with it, trying to find new things. And essentially what I've come to is there's many ways to shoot the basketball. And there's no one right way. But this is the way that I believe. I believe in flow. I believe in like flowing with the universe off the court. And I believe in flowing as a shooter. And if you watch Steph Curry, it's like, it's not about how strong you are, right? Because if it was about strength, Shaq would be the best shooter ever. And he's actually like the worst shooter ever. So it's really not about strength. And that's why Steph Curry is so inspiring, because people look at him and they say, I might be able to be like him. And it's really about how efficient are you with your energy through the shot, incorporating your body with the ball. And then how consistent are you? It's like the yin and the yang of shooting is consistent mechanics, doing the same thing robotically every time. And then flowing and having consistent flow where you're moving with the ball in the same motion in an efficient manner. And if you can master those two things, consistency and flowing with the ball where your energy doesn't stop, your body doesn't slow down, the ball doesn't slow down, the ball doesn't stop, your body doesn't stop. You're one fluid motion. Just as the samurais would say, the sword is part of me. The sword is my arm, right? The ball is part of you. And you transfer your energy through your body, your arm, and into the ball.
Your father, Dennis Kelly, Division I basketball player at Siena, he was your first teacher. What did some of those shooting drills look like? If just to give me a picture in our viewers of what you were doing that kind of set that foundation, like you talked about at an early age.
Form shooting. Cannot stress it enough. I still cannot stress it enough as a shooting coach. Like you need to form shoot. It is the foundation of your jump shot. And just like you wouldn't build a big tower with a wobbly foundation, you're not going to become a great shooter without a strong foundation of form shooting. And I form shot a lot. Like at UMass, I was like hurt, like my left foot, I had plantar fasciitis, so I really couldn't work out a lot. I would form shoot for like half hour to 40 minutes a day. I wouldn't leave the lane. And I shot I led the A10 in shooting that year, and I barely shot any threes in my own time just because of form shooting. I would shoot some threes, but I had to be limited. I could only take 50 to 100 threes probably because my foot would start hurting. So I think form shooting is really like the number one thing I stress.
I love it. You're a great catch and shoot shooter. What part of the court was kind of your sweet spot, your bread and butter, where your teammates knew to find you, that you felt like was automatic, like lights out, this is going in?
So it changes every year, but as my jump shot evolved, it got lower. Like my set point got lower and my range got deeper. So like I feel very comfortable from like 5 feet behind the 3-point line. Like that's like I don't have to warm up. I don't have to stretch. I can go out 5 feet behind the 3-point line and be like a pretty good shooter out there, like right out of the car. So that's like comfortable for me, and that's taken a lot of reps. So I would really like deep shots because like I love just like I can't dunk on people, and I can like outthink people with my ball screen reads, or I can like change pace and get by someone. But as a college player, I wasn't like shifting and shaking people like ankle, like crossover, like stuff like that. So like, what's my way of like making an impact, like a big like play, and it's hitting a super deep three that has like that emphasis to it, like when you hit a big dunk or when you hit like a crossover step back jumper. Like my thing was like, oh, I'm just going to hit a shot from 30 feet right now.
So now we're going to go into the rapid fire part of the episode. You ready, Rich?
Let's do it.
Okay, so who's your favorite shooter to watch? It could be now or of all time.
Steph Curry.
Jordan or LeBron?
Jordan.
Favorite teammate of all time?
My brother.
What sport would you gravitate to outside of basketball?
I really like soccer these days. I like playing soccer, so maybe soccer right now.
You're a philosopher. Good movie, or a good book? What do you prefer?
I think I'm shifting more towards books. I just went to Barnes and Noble and got like 7 books. It's like my biggest book purchase ever. So I'm going with a good book.
So Rich, your dad and your brother are very important basketball figures in the community. Dribble Drive Basketball was started by your dad. Can you talk about Dribble Drive and what it's meant to the community and to your family?
Dad says like I was Dribble Drive's first protege, and it was when I started when I was 5 years old. But like pretty much Dribble Drive is just like my dad's way of, making an impact on others' lives. And he teaches basketball very well, but he teaches life skills through basketball, which is really why I think like we have a consistent base of, players coming in, because like it's great, right? I played at a very high level. And most people want to play Division I, or they want to, get the scholarship so they don't have to pay all that money, or they want to make it to the NBA so they can make a bunch of money. And the reality is that 99% of people don't get there. And so what are sports then? Is it a failure if you don't get there? Not if you learn, right? You learn about the game, you learn about yourself, you learn about life, you learn about others. And essentially that's what my dad teaches at Dribble Drive, is that basketball is a tool to grow, and it's a metaphor for life. So the adversity you face here, if you can learn how to, fail, fall down, get up, learn, grow, get better on the court, you can do it off the court as well. I'm very grateful to be his son and have the opportunity to coach with him and learn from him and just, be with him.
Brother John was a part of that Fairfield Prep winning state championship team back in 2015. You guys have been through so much together. He played at Fairfield University, UMass. Now will be starring at Assumption College this coming year, and he's done so many great things with his hoops career as well. Can you talk about what that relationship means and how much he pushed you to become a better player as well?
Me and John still share a room, and I'm 25. Like I just moved out, but when I go home, we sleep in the same room. So like we're like best friends. And like at UMass when we lived together, because we shared a room, right? And then we split for like 3 years, and then we come back together at UMass, and we were roommates there. And we became very close again. And it was kind of like a reconnect. Although we've been connected, we had drifted apart a little because we're doing our own thing. And our teammates would think that we like acted like twins. Like, it's just like we can read each other's mind. Like, we finish each other's sentence. We're always like, what are you up to? It's just like we feel great when we're around each other. So like having John as a brother has been like one of the biggest blessings I've had in my entire life. And he's a really good player. And we play one-on-one against each other. And we've had a lot of battles. And it's funny, I've learned about myself. I've learned about him and vice versa through those battles together. And we also complement each other really well as players. And so we play really well together. When we play together, we can react off each other. And he's like a pick and pop big. And I was like a pass first point guard who could really shoot. So like we just really played really well together. And that was part of the reason we were so successful at prep, because me and him were so connected on the court. I'm excited for John at Assumption. He's grown a lot as a player after sitting out and not playing. He's grown a lot because now he understands the game much more. And he understands timing and pace and offensive flow and defensive flow. And like, I think like he's just going to step on the court at Assumption and be able to affect every game as a scorer, as a facilitator, as a leader. Like, I'm just really excited to just like watch him grow and watch him figure out himself and his game, because he hasn't played in 2 years. He's been injured. So it's going to be a time, I think, of a lot of growth for John.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's going to be really fun to watch what UConn does this year. I wish you the best of luck in your role as a graduate assistant. Maybe the Huskies can make history and go back-to-back for the first time since the Florida Gators did it. Would be something very special. And that's a wrap for episode 12 of For the Love of the Game interview series.
Thanks, Pete. You got to believe. That's what I'll leave you with.